If you've clicked this video, I'm guessing there's a part of you that wants to be a leader, that wants to transform your life. You're most likely into self-development. You want to improve your life, whether that's dating, whether that's financially, whether that's just overall quality of life. And you might be thinking to yourself, why is my life not improved? Why am I not taking the action that I need to take in order to get the results I want? And for me, I was the exact same as you. I was watching content after content of different videos, thinking that the next video was going to give me the exact answer that I need in order to improve my life. See, in this video, I'm not going to be like other gurus, talk to you guys about the difference between alpha males and beta males, tell you that you need to hustle. I'm sure you've got enough content on your feed that most likely tells you what you need to do already. On this content, I speak about who you need to become. The reason why the way you're looking at life is actually completely wrong. I wasted 11 years, similar to yourself, thinking that one day I'm just going to wake up and I'm naturally going to have the hunger in me in order to build the life I want. It wasn't until I understood the important thing that I'm going to be speaking about in this video about changing my identity that I was actually able to start moving forward. See, the problem is that people think in order to change your life, what you need to do is you need to change habits. You need to basically find out what's the next get rich quick scheme in order to start making financial money for yourself. You need to find out what is the road you need to pay for yourself and how you can essentially get there as soon as possible. But this isn't the case. See, what you need to understand is the person that you are currently, the decisions you make, the way you look at life, the way you take action, the way you're disciplined. It's a much bigger picture than just you needing the answer to change your life. You need to start changing who you are, and it starts off with your philosophy, your outlook. This is the basic foundation. This is why I start here. There's a lot of practical stuff that I tell you guys you can do in order to start building up sort of the philosophy of somebody who takes action. But I need to basically break down to you why it works, first of all, and why the people who take action are completely separate to you in terms of their outlook. Have you ever wondered to yourself why there's some people in the world that just happen to be consistent in the gym? Their dating life always looks good. Whenever there's a girl and they want to go speak to her, they just happen to go up to her and speak to her. And it doesn't seem to be a problem for them. Maybe you watching this, it's a problem for you guys because maybe you're hesitant. I was like this myself. I would take action, but a lot of the action I was taking when I was younger was just basically so that I could get the approval of other people. You're going to speak to that girl simply to show your friends that you're not afraid to go up to her. But there was still a part of me that was hesitant. I was nervous. I felt like I had something to lose. Even though the situation of going up to someone, there's nothing to lose there. Maybe when I go to the gym, I'd have this awkward feeling because I'm new to the gym. I haven't ever picked up weights before. You're looking at these machines. You're looking at, the little pictures on the side, the instructions, and you're trying to get into the routine of things. At every point in life, whenever you go down a path that you want to sort of become good at, you're always an amateur in the very early days. And at the very early start, you're going to look awkward. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, there's no one time in life where you've actually got it all together. See, the difference between people who take action and the people who don't is the people who take action know in order to get the results they want, they need to take action. There's no second guessing. There's no thinking about it. And that goes to the topic of this video that I want to speak to you guys about. I want to speak about the number one thing I believe that makes you hesitant, that makes you basically the sort of person that will never achieve the life you want. And that's the fact that you are indecisive. You do not make decisions, and you don't just not make them quickly. You never seem to make decisions whatsoever. You watch content like this. I did the same before, believe me. Watching people tell you that you need to do this, you need to lift this weight, you need to count your macros. And I was never listening. I was just pretending that I got something from it. Really, I was just using it as a form of getting dopamine and then watching the next video, next video, next video. I'm going to be telling you guys about sort of me, a story that's going to help paint this picture in your head, where I learned that the reason a lot of people don't get done what they need to get done is because they're indecisive. This is a big problem in society. We're in one of the most prosperous societies ever. We've got the internet. We can literally get food to our door in the click of our fingers. There's multiple ways to make money. There's job sites online that literally give you all the opportunities in your area within a certain level of miles or whatever it is. We're no longer having to go to door, give our CVs out on the door, yet we're struggling. We're struggling to get jobs. We're struggling to make money. We're struggling with our dating life. Every single content creator you see online is talking about the dynamics between men and women, when really we should have this figured out. We've got everything in our fingertips in order to change our lives. We've got dating apps, but we're struggling with absolutely everything. Why is that? We are indecisive. We keep thinking that we need to go away and think about it. We keep thinking that there's a better partner. We keep thinking there's a better job. We keep thinking there's a better opportunity, rather than just taking action and basically accepting that the grind in whatever we're going to do is going to be a slow burner. We keep thinking that there's a quick solution to everything. And this goes to show that our mentality from when we were children, when we wanted something, a toy, we would want it immediately. We would be told we can't have it, and we would sort of throw our toys out the pram. We would throw a tantrum. This hasn't really changed if you think about adults. Me making this video right now, a lot of people are going to drop off because they want the 15-day solution to basically make them a millionaire. They're not actually willing to listen to the philosophy, the outlook. They don't even know what that means. They don't even understand that they've got a thinking problem that's basically stopping them from building success. I'm actually only making this video not for my own profit, but essentially because I want people to know what took me so long to learn. And maybe if I can tell you my experience, it can basically paint a picture in your head. So I've done sales pretty much since I've started my career path, 18 years old. And I've done multiple different types of sales, whether that's sales in retail, working in clothing stores, selling clothes, selling fragrances, telephone sales, recruitment, finance, pretty much everything. I've always dedicated myself to sales, not because necessarily since a kid I wanted to be a salesman, but it was one of those paths that I fell into. You know, there's not many jobs going around, but if you get into sales very quickly, you can increase your income. Even if you're young, it doesn't matter about how many years you've been in the industry, it's all about your skill set. Now, one of the things that we learned in sales is we learn about things called objections. Now, if you don't know about sales, then what an objection is, it's a rejection the customer gives you for not taking up your product or services. They always have a reason to why they don't want to take up what you've got in mind right now. And usually it sounds along the line of things like, I need to go away and think about it. I need to talk to my wife. I'm not sure if this is the right fit for me, etc. And if you're a salesperson, you know, this is one of the most frustrating answers a client can give you. Now, typically in sales, the first thing you're taught is that the first objection they throw at you is not actually the real reason they don't want to take up your services. There's something underneath that makes them not want to take up whatever you're selling, but they're too scared to say that. Maybe it will be a conflict of interest, so they just say something else to sort of try blow you away. Usually it's something like they didn't quite understand how your product or service is going to align with what they want. Now, this objection used to bother me the most because a lot of the times when I sell something, in order for me to be an effective salesperson, I have to, one, understand the product or service I'm selling, and I need to understand how it will actually benefit the customer. There's people out there who can sell something simply because they like selling. But me, if I don't believe in what we're selling, then it's going to come out in my tone of voice. It's going to come out in the things I'm saying. If I start making a video on women's makeup, you're going to pretty much hear a different tone of voice I use because I'm very nervous about what I'm saying. I'm not confident. I'm not grounded. So basically, it's very easy to give off the vibe that you're actually an amateur in that line of field. Now, when I would get onto the call with these prospects, I would be very much convinced that whatever product or service we're offering can definitely help them. Maybe it's lowered their bills. Maybe they've been hitting their head against the wall for the last few months, last few years, and I finally come up with a solution that's going to help them. Going to be expensive, maybe it's out of their budget, but it's definitely going to solve the problem they have at hand. And a lot of the times these companies will talk about, I want to go think about it. Now, I understand where they're coming from. Sales overall, it gives people the wrong feeling inside. It makes people don't want to feel like they've been sold to because they framed it in their head as if when they are sold to, they're basically taking a loss. Even if that thing or service is very good for them. I've worked in jobs where I've told people that our product or service will save them whatever amount of pounds and they still have to go think about it because they think being sold to is basically them being defeated. Now, the problem with this indecisiveness, it doesn't just show up on the sales call. If somebody's indecisive, they've come onto a call with a problem, you've got the solution for them, and they don't immediately have a solid reason why they're not taking it or they decide to take it, that means they're indecisive in other parts of their life. That's why they're on the call. That's why they have the problem to begin with. So for example, right, I don't teach dating, but there's all sorts of dating coaches. And I know one thing they always tell you is even if you're feeling nervous, you should go up and speak to a girl. This is one of many examples. This isn't my field of expertise, guys. Don't get me wrong. But they will tell you need to go up to them. And even when you know this information is true, when you're out, it's very difficult for you to build up the courage to actually go up and speak to them. But that's the answer. That's what you have to do. Even if you look awkward, even if you're throwing them off, even if you look like an amateur, you need to put yourself in the position where you can actually have a chance at potentially getting their number. This goes with a product or service. If you go into a car showroom and your last car broke down, you need a new car, right? And the salesman comes up with you with the perfect car that you need. The only reason you should not be taking it up is because it doesn't align with what you already had in mind. But you shouldn't see the perfect car and then think to yourself, let me go think about it. The reason you think like this is because you've most likely got a track record of making bad decisions in your life previously. There's times in your life where maybe you've invested in something and you've lost out money. See, it's nothing to do with the product or service. It's to do with your direct experience. Now, the problem with this is now you have the philosophy of a failure. You have the philosophy of someone who doesn't trust his own intuition. One of the objections I would always hear from people on the phone is maybe I need to speak to my significant other, my partner, I need to check my finances. What would really get me about these calls is I was always asked myself this one question, being a single guy. I always thought to myself, if I ever got in a position where there's something that could potentially change my life and I would need to get the approval of somebody else in order to invest in it, then I have no control over my life whatsoever, right? There's very few things in this world that you get control of. You don't get control of what other people are going to do. You don't get control of how your boss is going to treat you. You don't get control of what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. You don't get control of what's going to happen to the banks, the economy, society, the internet in your house. But one thing you should have control of is the decisions that you make. Now, if you're outsourcing these decisions to other people, what sort of life are you living? Indecisive. Not able to actually move forward with your life because you have to go to other people or you have to think about it. Every single time that I use this excuse, because I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, I've done it myself. Every single time I've said the excuse, let me think about it. I didn't go and think about it. I just wasted more time and time and time. And eventually I got to a position where months, years maybe have even passed and you're nowhere closer to where you should have been. Really, being the decisive person is something that we should pick up from the days that we go into teenage years, into adulthood, from adolescence to adult. Because once you're an adult, pretty much the world is yours if you're able to make decisions quickly. One of the very first courses that I actually took seriously is, I like to give people a shout out if I've taken a course, is Michael Sartain's Men of Action. If you know him, you know him. If you don't, look him up. But he basically was teaching about creating a social circle, something that's always been of interest to me because I've always believed that when you're a kid, you're in school, so you're surrounded by a lot of like-minded people in similar situations, so you can build friendships. When you get into university, it's the same. When you get into work, it's the same. But as you get older, unless you have the courage to go out and actively seek to meet new people, your circles typically get smaller, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing. But I always think to myself, if you find yourself 40, 50, 60 years old, let's say you've got a significant other, you've got kids, and one day that falls apart, which the chances are it's possible, right? I don't want to be someone who's delusional and think that my significant other is going to be with me forever. I want to consider that maybe this might end. If that was to end and I've got no social circle, no friends, no fun things to do that I can do with me and my small group of people, what do you do then? Yeah, you see your kids on the weekend, but imagine that now. Now you're living a life where you don't do much on a weekend. You haven't got much going on in your life. How are you going to escape that? You're old now, so you're not actually in environments where you can meet new people. The people that you've met, their life is probably not that adventurous. That's probably why you're friends with them, because they had a similar lifestyle to you. What do you do? So I wanted to invest in this course. And I remember I was already invested before I even got onto the call with them to actually take up the course. And it was way out of my budget. Way. I didn't expect them to throw the figures. I'm not going to throw out figures, but they basically gave me this figure. And I knew in my head, I want to get this done. Regardless of how much money I've got, let's find a way to make this pretty much happen. This is one of the principles in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Be proactive, not reactive. See, most people hear a figure, something that's too expensive, and they get a little bit nervous. Oh, that's not really what I had in mind. But let me tell you something. Has there ever been a situation in life where it's been comfortable to progress in your life? Think about the first time you went into a job interview. Think about the first time that you came across a challenge in your life, like maybe a heartbreak. Is there ever a time where something that helps you grow is ever comfortable? There isn't. So why do we think that when it comes to investing into the person we're becoming, that it's going to be just as easy? It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be something. When you step into an arena that's uncomfortable, that's when you're challenging yourself. That's when you're growing. See, your indecisiveness, like I said, is a track record of you making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, right? So what you've done is you've built a muscle in your life of making bad decisions. So now when you go into your next decision, you're hesitant. In order for you to flip the script, you need to start being decisive. You need to learn to trust in your instincts. If you want to be a leader, you want to be this person who's maybe a great significant other, whatever that looks like to you, a great parent, maybe one day if you're already a parent, a great parent for your kids. Do you not believe that being decisive is one of the most important traits in that process? Surely you would need to be the sort of person who can make decisions quickly. Imagine if your kids come up to you and you say, hold on there, son, I need to go think about it. Let me speak to the wife. Is that really how you want to live your life? Now, I'm not talking about decisiveness in one aspect of your life. I'm talking about the concept in whole, because I talk about identity change and I talk about the success you want isn't a result of what you do. It isn't a get rich quick scheme. The success you want is about who you become. If you haven't got what you want, it's probably because you're making all the wrong decisions. Not just in one aspect in your life, in everything. Every single time that you're indecisive, even in something small, like when you go shopping, you're walking around the shopping mall, looking at different foods, looking at different prices, wasting time. Do you think that doesn't show up in other parts of your life? This shows up in pretty much everything, and I couldn't see it myself. For a long time, I was blind. Just this brick wall in front of me, and I couldn't see that my indecisiveness was showing up everywhere. I thought the reason I'm not successful is these people on the internet are hiding the real secret I need in order to build the life I want. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the fact that I wasn't being decisive in my life. I've got a newsletter, right, called The Next Chapter. I leave a link in the bio. And every single week for completely free, I send you 2 newsletters, one with a concept, one with an example. Break down this concept, give you a way to change the way in which you're thinking. The reason I write that is because I know over a long period of time, you reading one of these newsletters, watching a video of mine, is going to radically change the way in which you look at life. If you're serious, this video should make you contemplate and make you uncomfortable about where you're being indecisive. You've got all the information you need at your fingertips. You've got AI, but you're not taking action. You're not subscribed to the newsletter. You're not taking on new frameworks and starting to look at every single decision in your life. That's going to help you radically change yourself. If you've made bad decision after bad decision, you can start by subscribing to that, and then we can start moving you in the right direction. Believe me, it's free. You just read it once a week. But anyway, as you begin to make decisions in your life, start being more decisive. Plan your day in advance. Tell yourself what you need to do and then actually wake up and get it done. Do this over weeks, months. And sometimes you won't do 100% of the things that you planned in a day. I didn't. This video I was meant to record with the last 3 in the same day. I'm going to tell you the truth. The last 2 videos that came out, I had to do them day at a time because I procrastinated. But guess what? At one point in my life, I wasn't even doing 1 video in a week. So I'm building that muscle. Making a decision that if I say I'm going to do this, I do it. And every single time I fall short of it, I don't beat myself up because, like I said, you're framing it in your head that you're this failure who can never get anything done. And guess what? That shows up later on in your life. You begin to identify with somebody who never actually gets done what he needs to get done. I frame it as if I'm going to take a swing at it again tomorrow. And then once everything's done, I say, at least I got it done. I'm moving a little bit closer. Where was I 2, 3, 4 years ago? Sometimes people look at where they was last year, but I think you need to stretch it. You need to look at the decisions you were making maybe 5 years ago. See how radically different they are today. Then ask yourself, what would happen if I was to up that up a little? If I became a little bit more decisive? I was quick on my feet. When I decided to do something, I was going to do it. If I'm going to the gym today at 5, I'm going at 5, regardless. Where would that show up in other aspects of your life, where you start winning in the small things in your life? Like I said, we live in one of the most prosperous times ever. The internet, AI, iPhones can literally film videos in 4K, what I'm filming off now. I'm not even mic'd. I'm just speaking directly to my camera. Got a cheap tripod. My own little personal light in there in the corner. And I'm speaking to you guys. I'm letting out what's on my mind. I'm not even scripted for this. Looking at the camera, I'm just going off something that I'm passionate about. It took me forever to understand this, but start learning to be decisive. This is how you become the sort of person you need to be. See, you need to change your entire identity and you get to reinvent yourself. See, when you're playing a game, a video game, if you're like me who used to be a big fan of video games, RPGs was something I used to love. You get to choose whether you're a warrior, a magician, a healer, whatever it is, right? The tank, League of Legends, like World of Warcraft. I didn't play World of Warcraft really. It's a bit too time investly for me, but little game like Baldur's Gate. If you know Baldur's Gate, you're going back. Even GTA, my favorite game series, period. I'll still play that game, even though I don't play video games. When that game comes out, I'm buying it. Rockstar, hurry up. But anyway, in these games, you get to customize your character. You get to customize your character in real time. And similar to those characters in those games, they have a group of stats: strength, magic, charisma, defense, charm. Think about the skills that you get to develop on a day-to-day basis. Your ability to be decisive, your discipline, critical thinking. How quick can you come up with ideas? What are some of the things you can do in order to start building these muscles? Well, maybe reading is one thing if you want to improve your thinking. Like I said, the newsletter. Another thing you can do is you can start making small decisions in your life. Right, I'm going to time block my day tomorrow. I talk about time blocking in one of my videos. Make sure to click that. I'm going to plan my day tomorrow to a T, from the minute I wake up to the minute I end the day, and put as many activities you need to get done as possible. And guess what? You're not going to get all of them done, but guess what? You're going to get more done than when your calendar's blank and you don't even have a calendar or a plan for that day. Start doing this. I don't know how high you guys are aiming, but me, I always said the success I want, I know I need the creativity of a Michael Jackson. I need to dream like an artist. If you ever look at Michael Jackson's music videos, his productions, this wasn't something that he used to limit himself on. He used to think of the most out of world ideas and then create them. So you need the creativity of a Michael Jackson, but also most importantly, you need the strategic mind of a Michael Corleone. You need to plan your life the way the mafia plans a hit. You need to have every detail accounted for. See, the mafia doesn't leave anything to chance. Every single day that you make a decision to block tomorrow off with activities you need to get done, the big ones, the small ones, the medium ones, you're being strategic about your approach. Every single time I record a video and speak into the camera, I'm getting better at speaking, getting more confident. My body language is more comfortable. I can speak at the speed in which I usually speak with my friends without hesitating. This is starting to get natural to me. Every single time you go to the gym, guess what? You're getting a little bit stronger. I'm sorry they told you can get abs in 6 days. I'm sorry it's a bit more of a longer process, but guess what? When you get to the other side of that and you've become a lot more disciplined, a lot more decisive, a better thinker, somebody who's completely reinvented themselves, the competition will be so easy to wipe out. It's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The rich are reading more. The rich don't stop when they get to the top. And every time they do stop, we've heard stories of what happens when they get to the top and they just fall in love with the money. They usually just end up right back at the bottom in a worse off position than they were. Because they didn't respect the journey, the grind, the path to mastery that they need to go down. This constant journey. See, something else that I believe makes people indecisive is they haven't actually confronted morality. Their death is one day going to come. That thing you decide not to do, guess what? You're still in the same position. If you don't take that decision, if you don't go to the gym and you're meant to go to the gym, guess what? You're still the same weight, you still look the same. The reason you didn't go probably is because you're comfortable with the situation you're in. And it would actually be better if you accepted that you are comfortable where you're at and you don't really want to change. Stop watching self-improvement videos. Just accept the life as it is. But if you're not that person, you actually do want to change your life. You're wondering why you haven't been able to actually start making the right decision, start taking action. Is because you believe it will happen overnight. It will happen in a 24-hour time span, and tomorrow you're going to wake up as this ultra-disciplined guy. No, you need to work on it gradually and gradually. And as you compound, you're going to get better and better and better and better. You're going to be better at what you do 2 months from now than you were right now. 5 years from now, you're going to be exceptionally better because each time it compounds. I'm going to leave that there, guys. The last 3 videos have been shorter. I just wanted to give you some concepts. I've sort of been riled up a little bit. But decisiveness, the number one reason you have not actually improved your life. You keep watching video after video because you're indecisive. When you hear a good tip, start implementing in your life. You should go away from this video and you should have something that's changed in your life within the next week or 2. It's going to be small. It's going to be maybe you're waking up consistently a little bit earlier. But 5 years from now, you're going to look back and think that's where it started. That's where this journey started, with me just making that one small decision. And it's going to compound. You most likely have a track record of making bad decisions. I did. I still have a bigger track record of making bad decisions than I do good decisions, but I'm fighting it now. Every time I do a video, every time I take on a concept, every time I implement the things I'm saying to you, I'm building that foundation so that I can be much more ahead further on down the line than I am right now. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Leave a comment on what you got from this. Where have you been indecisive in your life? Subscribe to the next chapter, guys. I'm going to give you an actual newsletter to go through. I try and make them entertaining, give you sort of an easy breakdown where you can just follow it step by step, add frameworks into your week. If you're at work, if you're at uni, something that you can just look at and remember, oh yeah, Tino said this. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, guys.